2. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we've got things to dip into, including Home Depot saying that they are not planning on raising their prices, and I'll go into why this is kind of absurd and kind of funny at the same time. So, if you don't know, Walmart actually said that they were going to raise their prices due to tariffs, and a lot of people were not happy about that, including our president, who called them out straight, out into public and said, wow, you guys, essentially, you say you've done all this stuff for America, but then you go and raise your prices, right? As far as Walmart, they have raised their prices, got a bunch of negative publicity about this. I'm sure that might have put into some sort of decision here with Home Depot. Now, the wording that they actually use of why they're not raising their prices is kind of humorous to me, because they're basically saying they have enough profit and they make a ton of money so that they can, keep their prices the same. It says, because of our scale, basically saying because we're huge, the great partnerships we have with our suppliers, the cheap Chinese crap, and productivity that we can continue to drive in our business, we intend to generally maintain our current pricing levels across our portfolio. Again, everything is a portfolio to these people, but again, they're saying that they're going to keep it right. Now, I've seen people on Twitter and X and basically saying, oh, these guys are great, they're heroes for this. Well, honestly, nobody should have raised their prices. These guys make so much money hand over fist, it's unbelievable. And again, this is money that ends up getting put into some CEO's pocket with a $16 or $50 million a year, payment. So it's just kind of absurd when most of us, you would think that as a community and as a country, we would come together in hard times. But instead, it's always the rich versus the poor. People can barely buy groceries, yet, maybe instead of $50 million a year, they could do $40 million a year and keep their prices the same. Again, but that's just my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments down below. They're essentially saying they're going to keep things, and that's a good thing. I guess nobody wants the, public statements from the president essentially trashing you for not being American. And honestly, if I was the CEO of this company, I would probably do the same thing. Now, before we move on, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/EMP if you haven't already. Again, this is a device that can actually protect you against not only an EMP strike from an adversary, meaning that, again, a strike that could knock down our entire grid, but it can also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. This device is super easy to put in your car. You can do it yourself. You don't need a mechanic. You don't need a handyman. It takes 10 minutes, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground. Same company as outfitting agencies like DHS and DoD with the same technology. Again, go over and get yours at marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF to get $50 off from us. And that, of course, stacks on top of the Liberty sale of any sales that they are running if you are watching this in the future. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's talk about Iran says nuclear talks will fail if we push for what?
Yeah, we got a couple of big quotes here from two different leaders. Let's start here with this one. This is coming from the Deputy Foreign Minister, Majid Charbaschi. I know I'm butchering that name, but he's talking specifically about how we have been pushing for no enrichment and not allowing them to do any enrichment. Although that sort of goes against the idea that we may allow them to have nuclear energy. So they do have to do some form of enrichment to do that. But they're basically saying, at least the deputy foreign minister is saying, look, if you require us to have no enrichment, then there's going to be no deal whatsoever, 100%. So Steve Witkoff, which is the special envoy, reiterated Washington's stance this past weekend, saying that the deal between the U.S. and Iran must include an agreement not to enrich uranium, a possible pathway to developing nuclear bombs. So, but Tehran does have a nuclear energy program, and it says that it's entirely peaceful.
And again, at the same time, the Ayatollah, Iran's supreme leader, says he does not expect U.S. talks to yield results. He's already saying before anything that essentially nothing is going to happen, that they don't believe that this is going to work. And of course, Iran's supreme leader said he did not expect indirect talks with the U.S. to yield results, damping expectations of a breakthrough after President Donald last week suggested negotiations to end the long-running crisis over Tehran's nuclear program were making progress. Now, I don't think that, North Korea stopped theirs, back in the day. This was a huge deal. They see examples like North Korea where North Korea, the only reason they're still on the map is because they have a nuclear program. Iran knows that Israel is extremely powerful, and they know that Israel is now teamed up with the U.S. and has been for a very long time. There's no way that, I can see them actually dropping their nuclear program. Now, they said at one point, there was quotes saying that, yeah, we'll get rid of our nukes, but Israel and everybody else has to get rid of their nukes too. So unrealistic, expectations from everyone everywhere around. So this isn't going to go much further than they said they'll do this, we'll do this, and, unrealistic expectations. Nonsensical, as they said. Dex, go ahead.
And Adam, do you think there's any I don't call it a rift, but maybe a position differentiation between, say, the Ayatollah and the president there, the president Pezeshkian, where maybe he was more apt to negotiate and the Ayatollah is not. Now, I know at the end of the day, everybody sort of says, don't worry, Ayatollah's in charge, the president's more of a figurehead. But he has sort of had that role where he's looked like he's taken not directly against the Ayatollah, but certainly been one more for politically motivated, at least with some of his negotiations. So I wonder if that is exposing anything here. Kind of like you said, the guy's making a position before they even get through the talks.
Yeah, and here's the thing with the president. This is a president, the Iranian president, essentially is a president that replaced not only a gentleman who got taken out, but then another gentleman who had essentially a helicopter crash. Like, we don't know what the deal is with the system there and who gets put into play. But you could actually see that Iran is even suspicious of their own people. This guy that took the presidential spot took it because the runner-up and the guy who was going to be the president got taken out by a missile. And then before that, the original president, the one that was president, died mysteriously in a helicopter crash. It's like, so there's all sorts of ops going on at all times. We don't know what actually happened in the back end of all of this. And for us to look at these negotiations without knowing what kind of ops have been done, it's pretty hard to say which way it would go. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and nonetheless, Trump has said, hey, if there's no deal, then it's game on. And we still have our B-2s sitting over there in Diego Garcia. We still have B-52s allegedly now also in Diego Garcia. We have aircraft carriers that are sitting off the coast. And of course, you've got Israel just sitting there itching to launch at any moment. We had to back them off. So, if this doesn't go well, if they don't come to negotiations, I think the obvious is there's going to be a conflict.
Yeah, it seems to me like they are trying to give little bits of hope, like, oh yeah, we'll negotiate. Psych, no, we won't. Oh yeah, we'll negotiate. Here, we'll give you a little bit. Here you go. Here's the little taste. No, just kidding. Pull it right out of your mouth. I think it's stalling, and I think that they are stalling and trying to keep this going as long as they possibly can, because there's something way bigger in the works. And I'll show you that in our next show. There is, of course, talk about the Golden Dome and what we know about it. It's going to be the U.S.'s first public space weapon in space. You have, of course, talk about, what that is going to be used for and when it is actually going to be operational. If we are going to have a system that is going to, quote, trump everybody else's, then that system is going to be put in by this year, then, by this exact time, then before that exact time comes into play, you're going to have everybody that wanted to vie for number 1 and 2 spots. They're going to make their actions known before that. And maybe that's why there's a time frame for 2027. Maybe that's why there has been all of this. Again, 2028 is when the president's term is over, and they're making specific promises about 2027 and 2028. Dex, go ahead.
Just a quick shout out. Kenny Crowder, thanks so much. Says, hey, Adam, Dex Mods, and Fugel fam, keep your faith and stay safe. Love your way.
Hey,
Thank you,
love your way too, Kenny Crowder, and I appreciate you. Again, thank you guys for coming to this short video. I hope that you share it out with your friends and family. Look for this thumbnail. You can get a full bibliography with every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have talked about here. And then if you want to join us for the next show, all you have to do is stay in the chat. You'll be ported over. But this is going to be the next one, weeks away from full-scale civil war. We're going to talk about that quote, and we're going to talk about everything else, including, of course, everything that just happened in the last 24 hours. So join us over on our next show on our sister channel in just a few minutes. If you're watching the replay, all you have to do is click here. See you in just a moment. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.